Hello, my name is Aaron Balke, and I am excited to announce that the Guac emulator for Game Boy, Game Boy Color, and Game Boy Advance now supports Nintendo DS. There is a bunch of games that can be played at this point. One of the major features is there is a JIT compiler for it. I have an entire video breaking down what a JIT compiler is and why it's so special and why this one specifically is so special and the context of all of that. But long story short is a JIT compiler allows the CPU emulation to be 2 to 5 times faster. And in my case, most of the time it's about 4x faster. So that is super exciting. It allows a bunch of computers that weren't going to be able to use this emulator to be able to use it. And it also allows for higher FPSs if you want to fast forward through stuff. If there was, ever a game that was super slow and you wanted to play at like 3x the speed, you can imagine. Another feature is direct boot. This allows DS games to be played without needing any BIOS files, any firmware files, anything like that. You can just skip and go with whatever game you want. There is the ability, though, to add your own BIOS files and firmware files inside the configuration. There's also a 3D scene export option. You can export the current 3D scene as an object file, a .obj file. This allows you to bring it into Blender or another 3D software, and then you can make edits to it. You can use it for debugging. You can use it artistically. There's a bunch of options from that point. Some other configuration stuff, you can make firmware adjustments, so if you want your nickname or your favorite color, birth date, anything like that the DS firmware usually handles to be something different, you can make those changes in the configuration. There's screen position, rotation, and emphasis options. This is all, how the two screens relative to each other are being used. So if you have a game like any of those brain games that need you to hold it sideways, you have the option to do that. There's also real-time clock options. If you want to play at night when it's day, you do have that option to adjust that for any of those games that do have real-time clock requirements. Currently, there is quite a few unsupported features, so we got microphone input is not supported, 3D shadows and line polygons are not supported, DSi cartridges are not supported, and Wi-Fi is not supported at this point. In other news not related to the DS, there has been a massive improvement in Game Boy and Game Boy Color emulation. In general, it's about twice as fast, twice as performant, and twice as accurate. This is very subjective though. And then also, there's significantly less code. I want to say around half the amount of code that there used to be. And all of these adjustments and all of the 2xing of stuff has been caused by taking everything I've learned from the DS and moving it to the Game Boy and Game Boy Color. So all the lessons learned and all of that. And what's next for the Guac emulator? Big one's going to be performance. I'm going to want to start adding in vectorization, SIMD or GPU acceleration into the emulator. This will allow graphics to be 4-8 times faster, if not more. The big step for moving forward and making it more accurate will be adding a scheduler to the Game Boy Advance and DS. Currently, all I/O operations happen immediately. There's no waiting to complete the operation. Everything's immediate. And then the CPUs, it's very diabolical, but they just run XYZ amount of instructions relative to the other CPU. There's no cycle accuracy, it's very rudimentary, and most of the accuracy problems I'm running into right now with graphics and audio come from the fact that the emulator is not timing anything correctly or appropriately. It's just very willy-nilly when it comes to timing stuff. So if I fix that, there will be a bunch more games running smoothly without graphics and audio problems. And then moving forward, maybe another console will add to the Guac emulator. The obvious choice would be the 3DS. However, that is a massive increase in complexity compared to the DS. DS didn't have an operating system or multi-core CPU, and looking just from very far away at the 3DS, it looks like that sort of stuff is going to be very difficult to emulate and emulate performantly and all. So we'll see what ends up happening, but I think I got my hands full at this point with the Game Boy, Game Boy Color, Game Boy Advance, and DS. DS. And yeah, that is the new update for the GBC emulator, support for DS games, and also improvements to Game Boy Color emulation. If you enjoyed it, please check out all the links in the description. You'll be able to find everything down there. And I appreciate you watching. Thank you so much.